Hello, everyone. Just getting myself set up and letting folks find us. Hello, Danielle. Hi, Kim. I know you weren't feeling the best the other day. Hopefully you're feeling better. Nice to see everybody popping on. Oh, good. I'm glad. Just give a few minutes in case folks are finding us. And while I try to straighten out my camera, I think sometimes I have to be okay with the fact that it's just a bit cattywampus, so. I hope everybody has been having a great day. I am officially on Easter break. We had our last day of school, so now we have a week off. We had a swimming trip today, so that was good, and I rushed home. I have a few snacks down here in case I get hungry and need to nibble. But I'm excited to hang out here with everybody today. I've got a few things set up. We're going to make a shaker ATC is what we're going to attempt to do tonight. I have everything ready and we're going to see how it goes. We are going to be using the stamp New Beginnings, and with Kim here, I'm glad because I forgot to double check online. I know that this was one of the ones that I think showed up when there was the sale, but I think or hope that there's maybe still a couple available if people are looking in the shop. And so, yes, we're going to use New Beginnings today. And I have a couple pieces ready. Hello, Wanda. I pre-cut a couple items. I have a stiff piece of black cardstock in the standard 2.5 by 3.5 size for ATC. Okay, so there is one left, Kim says, of New Beginnings. So if this is a set you do not have in your stash, quick 40% off in the shop right now, and it can be yours. It is springy. It is kind of Eastery, and I know Kim talked about it in our live release party. I did the Easter egg card with the new release set. Easter is not always my jam, but I like Easter adjacent, so I have channeled that this evening, and we are going to use 2 of these cute itty bitties from the set. This little chick with the daffodil, and then the one with half an egg on his head, because it is adorable. And we're going to color those up tonight. And then for building my ATC, I just have a stiff piece of black, just as a ground kind of border piece. I had this great little piece of silver. Full disclosure, it was sitting on my desk. It looked fun. It was shimmery, so I grabbed it. I cut this down to 1/4 inch shorter, so it's 2 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I then rounded the corners. So as I kind of talk and people are kind of finding their way, I'm gonna just start to build a couple pieces here so that we're not too late with our evening and can spend most of our time on the coloring. I love this set too. It's super cute. So when I do ATCs, I know Kim has done some ATC swaps with Kraftin Kimmie stamps. I've been so busy that I haven't actually participated in one just yet. But they are becoming so popular and fun to do with their swaps. right now I tend to create singles for myself because I just think they're adorable. But we have this cute little planter upstairs, and every time I make an ATC, I kind of prop my ATC into the leaves of the planter, so it kind of makes it this cute little decor piece, which is great. I also like doing ATCs as a fun way that you could create for yourself, and it could be tucked into a pocket, into a journal, into a card that you're sending to someone, onto a scrapbook page. So even if you're not trading artist trading cards or ATCs, there's lots of cute uses for it. And so I just have started with this stiff piece and this border. I do have a white piece for the back that we are going to put on at the very end. And I'm going to show off the Kraftin Kimmie ATC's original set as well that Kim has. But we'll stamp that together is my plan. So we just have that. And then to build mine, because this set is so springy and fun and Eastery, I picked a couple just random things from my stash. So I had this collection called Lemon Daydream sitting on my desk. And so I took a piece of the pattern paper and I just cut a little border. And so I have a plan that we're going to use that. Obviously it's way longer, but when I have borders for ATCs, I like to cut them longer because then you can decide how you want it to fit onto your piece. So this was like a fun, whimsical scallop punch I have just recently bought. And there's like, the scallops are different sizes. So this way I can kind of decide what I'd like. And then I had this cute little ephemera piece with these bright florals and the little birdhouse and this little birdie. So I thought that would be great. And then as I was planning tonight, I was just looking through all my stuff, and I think I won this as a prize. One of those things, you know, that you win or pick up at like a sale that somebody has a table at a crop. And I was looking for shaker bits, and there are little tiny bunny silhouettes in this. So I'm like, well, the spring colors are perfect. There's bunnies, and so it kind of fits with the vibe. So that's what we're going to do today. So what I'm going to do is, because I kind of know how I'm going to build it, I'm going to build a full shaker, and we're going to actually end up using some wrapping. So I'm actually going to stick down this ephemera piece now onto my base, because I know that that's what I'm going to do. And we're going to build some layers inside our shaker, and then we're going to build some layers outside of our shaker today. So I'm actually just putting this more towards the bottom, so we're not going to end up seeing all of it. This will end up kind of going over top like this. So I'm just kind of making sure that it's down far enough. So I am sticking that on so that we can kind of set this aside and deal with the coloring. It is serendipitous, Kim, that I found those shaker bits. And now it's going to be exciting because I'm using something from my stash. You'll have to excuse my voice. I can tell it's a bit like, it sounds like I'm losing my voice, but because we were swimming today with the school, of course we're in the huge swimming pool, and every time you have to talk to a kid or kind of holler at a kid, it's so echoey in pools and loud. So I felt like I was shouting all day. So I'm actually kind of happy that I get a week off, because now I can rest my voice, because I am a chatty Cathy as well. So it'll be good that I do not have to talk to anybody for a couple days. Hi, Cathy. Nice to see you. Oh, it is a coincidence, and I'm happy you're here. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to set this base now that I kind of have, and this scallop just off to the side. For the stamp set, these are the ones I colored, as I said, and then I stamped your extra special for the little egg guy, because I love a good pun. You guys have kind of know me a bit by now, but there's also a great sentiment, spring is in the air. So if you're just looking for spring, originally when I picked this like weeks ago, I thought I maybe was going to use like the sheep, but then I've been mulling it over for the last like 5 days or so and kind of coming up with my plan, and went with the little chicks instead. But there's this cute bunny. I'm trying to like get it so there's no glare. It's always so hard with my light, but there's this cute bunny with the egg, the sheep. I love this little bunny underneath. there's like little extra grass with some Easter eggs. So I thought it would be cute for an Easter egg hunt if you were doing like a scrapbook layout and then had a couple of those on the corners of your photos. Wouldn't that be adorable? And then there's Celebrate New Beginnings. So I actually also thought this set would be super cute for a baby card. If you had like one of these cute little sheep or the chick and then Celebrate New Beginnings, I thought that would be really awesome. So I'm just going to set the set aside for right now. And hopefully I can open up my markers here without hitting my cord and knocking my phone over. I was at a huge crop last weekend, and I was still kind of half unpacking my stuff. So all of my Spectrum Noirs right now, I'm going to show you guys, are in this like clear container, and I haven't had time to put them away yet. So they're just sitting beside me. So please send me good wishes that I don't send them careening to the floor. Just going to zoom in while we plan to do some coloring. How is that? That looks zoomed in good for me on my other screen, but give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you want it closer. Okay, so I'm gonna leave my shaker bits kind of hanging out by me, and actually I am gonna stick these a little bit close because then I can kind of see my colors. So I'm gonna start with some yellows, and I'm just gonna pull my citrus blend and my light yellow blend, and do I have another yellow? I thought I had like a gold, but that might be, I feel like that might be the only yellows in this set. Sometimes I pull from my Copics, but I think we'll be good. We can use the darker yellow maybe for the daffodil, and then the lighter yellows for the chicks. I think would be super cute. So the daffodil, yeah, let's use the citrus blend. I've never been one to be completely accurate, so we just know we want it yellow. So I'm gonna add a little dark to the tips. I know it's kind of backwards, probably a lot would go darker towards the center, but I'm gonna do that instead. And it's a pretty small space, so then when I have a small space, sometimes I just sort of dab. I love my Spectrum Noir for that with these tips, and then just kind of dab out. So there probably won't be a lot of shading necessarily on a piece like this, but, and I know my hand's in the way, but once I finish, I'll make sure I lift it up for you guys. So then I'm just gonna dab in with my lightest where I went and kind of try to pull that down. Sometimes I get a little bit of bleeding. Yeah, oh crap, I got a little bit of bleeding with that black. So I'm gonna just dab really carefully. I just always get that little bit. There we go. And then I might just go back with my dark and just kind of run along the edge here. Actually, the light looks pretty good tonight too. I might have got my light shining on it pretty good, so that's great. Anybody here have any good plans for Easter? Do you guys have Easter dinners with your family, or does anybody here go on vacation? I'm gonna pick my light green blend and my dull green blend for the grass and stem. So my light green blend, such a small space, just gonna dab on the stem on either end, and then just do the next lightest. And then the very lightest in the middle, just with one line. So just try to lift that up a little bit so you guys can see. green is so light, it's actually kind of hard to see. Oh, went off the camera there. Sorry about that. So the green is very subtle. Oh, great. Emily's gonna have dinner. Awesome. And some relaxing. That sounds great. Got a date with a book this weekend, I think. It's been not a lot of reading time for me lately, so I'm excited to spend some time with my coffee and a book tomorrow morning because I do not have to set my alarm. So now I'm going to pick my dull green blend and do the grass. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to kind of roughly come in along the edges. And then a little circular motion. Kind of dabbing into those corners. Just pull that color out a bit. Just sort of willy-nilly because grass, the light is always kind of different. And then I'll just come in with my lightest. Ooh, what you reading, Kim? So good. I probably did see on Goodreads, but I forgot. Because I usually see your updates. And then sometimes when I know I'm going to fussy cut along the bottom of a stamp like this, I just kind of dot and kind of make this like wiggly bottom so that it kind of doesn't cut off like a straight line. It's kind of what I like to do there. Super cute. Okay. I love these stamps because like it doesn't take a lot of time. So if you're looking to kind of get something done, not only are these stamps good for that, but that's also kind of why an ATC is good. If you're looking for a quick little project just to satisfy your crafty craving. Half City. Ooh, urban fantasy. I'm reading about, I don't know, 12 chapters in to Little Women, my book club. We decided that so many classics, you know, are referenced. So we decided we're going to do Little Women in April because a lot of people have never read the book. We've seen all the movies. And then in May, we're all going to pick our own book that's either a version of Little Women, like a retelling, or there's a few historical fiction books that are told kind of from like the dad's point of view. There's one called March and there's one called Marmee. So we're all going to pick like a derivative of Little Women for May. And then that's kind of cool. And then, yeah, that's kind of what I'm reading right now. I'm listening to it on audio. Okay, so I'm going to pick my light yellow blend for this little chick. And I'm kind of thinking when I build this, that this little chick is going to kind of get tucked in a little bit. And this one is going to be kind of out. So I think I'll use my light yellow blend for this chick. And then this one will be kind of far enough away from the daffodil. So I might use the darker yellow on this one just to get a little bit different. So where's my dark? Okay, so I'm going to try not to hit the black line since I always fight with that. I know I just said that, but it's just my thing. Now, I might need somebody to help me. I didn't look up ahead of time. Are chicks' feet, like, are they black? Are they also yellow? Are the beaks orange? I feel like I usually do an orange. I don't know why my yellow blend looks a little green on camera. It's kind of weird. But we're going to have to go with it. It does look a little green on my paper too, but that's okay. It'll blend out. Yeah, I usually do orange for the beak, but the feet, I'm like, why didn't I have feet with the other one? But it was in the rain boots, right, from the new release. So that's probably why I'm not recalling what I did. Then I'm going to take the lightest one. Now, I know some people might try to do lighter in the belly, but I'm just kind of trying to kind of wash it out to get just a bit of a gradient. Just so that we just get variation. That's all I'm looking for. And then I think I'll just go back in with my dark. Go. Hello, Carol. Okay, so I'm going to lift it up again, but I don't know. It really, really kind of looks green on camera, but I think once I photograph it, it'll be fine. Maybe it's just something reflecting off my phone today. But that's okay. Chicks, I mean, it's Easter. It could be peeps, right? Like, if I've been thinking ahead, why didn't anybody tell me this? I could have made these cute little colors or something. Could have made a purple chick and a pink chick. You always think of those ideas after, don't you? Okay. The citrus blend. I'm going to do this one. Yeah, why didn't I think of that with the colors? And I'm usually the type who is going to do something a little bit extra out of the ordinary here, but it's okay. I have swimming brain, I guess. Sometimes on these little itty bitty parts, I always get concentrating. A little bit of bleeding up in there in that corner, but by the time we finish it, it'll be fine. Okay. And where's my dark? I'm just going to go. Go. Well, that's pretty darn adorable. Okay, then I'm gonna grab, where's my other coral color here? So I'm grabbing my coral blends because I found that I liked using them for the beaks. This one I think is my, if it's not, it doesn't feel stiff enough for my Spectrum Noir paper. So I think it's like just Nina. But I do have Spectrum Noir paper as well that I use sometimes. Do you find that helps make a difference, Kim, with some of the bleeding? Because I've even tried different inks. Like this is the Kraftin Kimmie ink, like the black. But sometimes when I've tried different ones, like the Lawn Fawn or others. And yeah, the lightest colors just, they give me grief. So if anybody has tips, help me out here. So I'm going to take my Coral Shades, the medium, and I'm just going to do just a tiny dab. And I'm just going to go for it with the feet too. And then I'm going to go to my Coral Blend, the dark one, to build those out. Adorable. Okay, now you guys might get to help me vote here for the egg. So I've got some pinks in here and greens, but we kind of have that represented. There's a little bit of like purpley kind of color in this robin. And there is, if I manage to get them in, these shakers. So I don't know, maybe like a teal and purple egg. How are we feeling about that? Yeah, okay. More blender fluid in it. That makes sense because you're trying to kind of at least spread that ink. And I will say I have the most trouble with yellows or creams, like if I'm doing like a lighter skin tone. Whereas if I use, say, one of those like BG0000, like to outline around a ghost or the white of snow, don't have bleeding. So I also think it must have something to do with like the dyes, like the way ink also spreads, like certain colors. You know how certain colors dye your fingers more or are harder to wash out. So that's kind of what I thought as well. So I'm gonna go for this green turquoise blend. And then which purple? Maybe lavender? Lavender sounds fun. Maybe the lighter colors though. The darker colors a bit intense. So I'm gonna go my lavender blend, the medium. And let's do this top one. And I think I'm gonna do each end and kind of get lighter in the middle. Again, not at all what I did on my chicks, but you know, consistency's never been what I aim for here. So I'm just washing this out on either end, and then I'll make sure I just go over with one layer in the middle. And then I'm going to take that middle color again and just do a little bit back on the ends. And then a couple dabs just to blend that out. So there's my purple. And then my green turquoise blend. Oh, just use a little bit of that dark one. It's pretty intense. Then go to the middle. And then my lightest one. Oh, this is a super cute Easter blend. Then a single layer in the middle. Then you get that nice washout. Now, I think I'm going to get my coral blend back here. And I just think that our little chicks need some cheeks here. So I'm going to use the lightest on my coral blend and add a couple cute little cheeks. Because what critter doesn't need cute little cheeks there? Okay. Amazing. Okay, I'm just gonna move close my markers here and move them out of the way. And then I'll just let that dry a bit, and then I'm gonna come back in with a little white gel pen at the very end. Awesome. Have a good night. Oh, and I know my parents are going to be staying overnight tomorrow in Helena on their way back from Arizona. And now I always think of you every time. Okay. I'm going to, ooh, this is like really big. I'm going to zoom back out while I fussy cut. I kind of forgot I was zoomed in. Whoop. Was a bit too close for some fussy cutting there. Okay. I know, isn't the eggshell hat so cute? Kathy, I'm so happy with the colors I picked. Okay. Now, I feel like I've asked this before. I always talk about how I leave a little white border because it's more forgiving, but whoever's watching here, we got to do a poll. Are you team leave a white border, or are you team cut right along the edge? Because I don't know that I've ever asked that before. I've always given my tips, but I know I have one crafty friend who with ephemera always loves to cut off all the white borders. I don't know if she does it all the time, but I would say a lot of the time. And I'm like, I have patience for a lot of finicky things. I will cut small die cuts and piece them together, but I do not know that if I have the patience to cut around pieces that are already cut out for me. Kathy, team depends, Kim's white border. I love that, Kathy. I am going to steal that, team depends. My question is always whether or not to deal with that piece like here. If it was a die cut, it probably would like cut just a tiny piece out. Well, okay, yeah, Carol, you end up cutting to the line, and then you like use a black line, so that's fair. I do find that if I leave a white border, I'm usually generally happier because it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I've also learned sometimes like being a little wibbly wobbly on purpose is good, because then if you have one spot that's a little skinnier or fatter, like you have more spots like that. And then the other trick, and I'm sure people have told you, but maybe not, is to try to open up your scissors and then keep your scissors stationary and move the paper. So you'll see, like, when I open up my scissors, I'm just slowly closing them, but this hand is doing most of the maneuvering. And then when you have little things like the feet, I don't worry that they don't match, that my little wobbles, like I just kind of wiggle. And then I'm usually more satisfied because it doesn't have to be perfect. I think with this one, it's going to bug me, but I'm just going to go in with a straight line along the daffodil. And I kind of came in from both sides. And keep going back in until they meet and that piece comes away. But I didn't really try to cut away. I just cut through where the daffodil and the chick are. So really it still looks like they're together, but it just wiggles. So that's what I decided to do for there. So there we have our little pieces. Cute. Okay, and then with your extra special, I'm gonna bring in my trimmer here. And I stamped it. I put it in my Misty, and I put the piece of paper right down at the bottom. And then I took the sentiment and I laid it right down along the bottom. So these G's were like resting against the bottom. So then that way, this time I wanted to cut a banner. So then I knew I could put it into my trimmer and get a nice skinny edge. And then just sometimes you just gotta kind of wiggle a little bit to figure out border. Yeah. And I'm cutting it a little longer. And then I'll just come in with my scissors because I think I'm going to do a little notched banner. So I just left a little extra room there to do that. So I'm going to just, it feels very far away. So I'm going to just try to zoom in a little bit while I build. Because the light was better too. Right, zoom in just even a little bit more. Awesome. Okay. So now comes the fun part, and we're going to see if it's going to cooperate today. So sometimes when I build wool shakers, like you can use acetate, of course, and I have done that. But a lot of times I just have extra packaging that I have, you know, gotten kits in. If you're feeling pretty confident about how sturdy it is, I'm just going to kind of show what I have done before is I've put my piece right into the corner and left one edge. We're going to cut this apart a bit, but I'm not confident that this won't rip. So what we're going to do is I'm actually just going to stick it in my trimmer. And I'm just going to kind of get like some extra that we're going to fold over the edges. So I'm kind of 3.5. I'm kind of cutting the plastic so it's like just over 4.5 with my trimmer. And then because this was like a little baggy, I'm going to cut as well at 3.5-ish. And then I'm just gonna also turn it and just cut a little teeny sliver off the bottom where the bag, like where the bottom of the bag was. So then what I have is now this package that's open, and then I'm just gonna cut along the one edge to split them apart. So it's just a good way to reuse some packaging. But like I said, I wasn't totally confident in the edge. So we're gonna put this on the back. Like this is our inside and like our back layer. We're gonna build our shaker. We're gonna like seal it up on the back side, put our shaker bits in, seal it up. Then we're gonna add some pieces to the front on top. And then at the very end, we will add our back piece as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna flip this over and hopefully I can kind of cooperate. So it's kind of hard to see with the, but I'm essentially gonna cut some corners out. Of my plastic. I know it's very, very hard to see, but basically I just am like cutting away so that when I go to fold it, it's not bulky, but I'm hoping that I'm doing enough that like the little bits aren't going to sneak out the corner. Full disclosure, a lot of times I've used one that I feel confident in about the pocket. So like, we're going to see how this goes. So please bear with me while we try this out. And if I didn't get my corners good enough and little bits come out the bottom, then that's the way it goes. Now, I will say a lot of times as well, like I will have folded up the bottom and then just like cut away on the sides. So this is completely new. This is what I would do with paper, but I am like a little bit uneasy about the shaker, but we're gonna go for it. Okay. So it doesn't really matter, which is, I'm doing along the bottom first, but so I'm going to fold up this bottom piece and keep it more like flat like that. And I just use double-sided tape at the bottom. Okay. And then along this bottom piece here, just so it doesn't wrinkle, I'm just going to make like a tiny angle. And then you'll kind of see it when I fold, it's a tiny angle this way. So now I'm going to do my sides. And because we're going to glue on the back, that should also help secure it because it'll be underneath something. There's all kinds of ways you can make shakers, but I fight with acetate when I do full shakers because I find it's too stiff. So that's why I do like using the full. So I'm just kind of, I think you can kind of see the piece there. So now I'm just pulling it tight. There. Sometimes when you leave the package full and you don't do it this way, you get like a lot of air bubbles that you're dealing with and wrinkles, which if you can get it kind of pressed down enough on the back and it gets covered, it doesn't matter, but sometimes you do feel those. So, okay, so in preparation, now I probably didn't leave this loose enough, so we're gonna see. Because usually I would like maybe not pull it quite so tight. So this will be an experiment, but it's okay. I don't mind that like my shaker bits aren't going to move a lot because I want it, like I want them to be seen. So, but if I did that again, when I was pulling it tight over the tape, I might not have pulled quite so tight, just so that there was a bit of room inside, like a little bit more, but let's try it. Let's try it. And hope I don't spill all over the place. Which I might. Maybe I'll just pick them up. You know what? Just give me a second. I have like a little spoon. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, that one's too little. Well, you know what? I'm just going to pour, and then whatever falls on, we'll just put back in. So I'm just bending a little bit. And I don't want too many in this one, because I want to see the background. Okay, I feel like you guys gotta watch me like move this a bit. There's a couple, like this one is kind of a broken piece or something. Okay, so that's cute, but there's so many of those white pieces that I'm going to shake some of those out, and then I'm going to just manually put in some of these colored bits. And then we'll clean out my mess. I mean, it wouldn't be a shaker if we didn't have a mess, right? Get some green in there. This one is like caught on the side here. Okay. Now let's see how many of these I can spill on the floor. I got very quiet there for a bit, you guys. Sorry about that. I was concentrating. So yes, if you do this, learn from me. And just remember not to pull it quite so tight. But this is a small amount, so like you don't want a huge amount of shaker bits. Okay. Got a few extra sequins, but we'll deal with those later. Okay. Just gonna sit back So now I'm going to come in just with my last piece of sequin. And then this one is going to be pulled over top there. So then you can kind of see the back, how it's sealed up. And then this is our shaker. But I like that they're kind of floating around. And because we're going to put some stuff on the bottom, I'm going to try to get a little bit more up at the top. Floating around. And then actually, okay, so you can leave it a little looser, but I don't mind that it's actually tighter now that I'm looking at it, because then these are going to kind of stay floating in there, which is kind of cute. So whichever kind of you're feeling. But I kind of like that they're not all going to necessarily get hidden underneath. Okay. So we got our shaker. Now I'm going to kind of put this over here, and I'm going to measure this out. So just bring my trimmer back in. And I kind of liked these two taller pieces. So then I'm going to put my taller piece here at 2.5. Flip it over. Let's do that so I can get it a bit flatter there. Oh no, your laptop died. Doesn't that always happen when we're doing stuff? And then because it's plastic, I could use glue and it'll be fine, but sometimes it squishes out. So I think I'm just going to use sequin. And then we'll just stick this down at the bottom. Oh my gosh, if I can be straight. Woo. There we go. And then it's kind of cute because it curves, and so you see even a bit of the shadow, and it adds a little bit of depth because of the shaker bits. Then you can kind of, it's almost like you're looking in, which is awesome. Okay. Okay, so then this little fella, I'm going to tuck there. This was my plan, but I'm just going to play around with it, because this one I want to put down here, the little banner. Just going to do a little notch. That's gonna go there, and then that guy, I'll glue that, and then I'm just gonna decide maybe kind of like that, and I'm just thinking I'm gonna go grab my do I want to do a little blue? I'm just going to grab my really, really, really light blue around that extra special. think I am. I was like second guessing myself, but I think I want just a little bit. So I just grabbed my BG000 and I'm just gonna lightly go off the page, but really slow. And then it adds just a light line. So I'm not actually going on my white paper. I'm almost just running it alongside and then letting the ink of the Copic soak in along the edge. It can be a great way to get a little extra detail without feeling that you've had to color or stay even. Okay, so I'm gonna get that glued on first because I know where I'm putting it. And because this ATC, like, not all ATCs you want to build up, but, you know, if people are keeping them in pockets, a little bit like the shaker is usually okay. The biggest thing with ATCs is if they have a bit of dimension, it's all right, but you want to keep them within the 2.5 by 3.5 dimension this way. So you want to try to avoid having pieces stick out the side if you're going to stick to the traditional, like, trading rules, because people, like, a lot of people buy like the hockey card, like, binders, or like trading card Pokemon cards, and slide them in. So if you have pieces that are overhanging off the edge, then that's not good. Okay, so now we just have to fully decide if I'm going to tuck both of these. No, I definitely think this guy needs to be out. And maybe if I just move him a little bit over, then you can see that daffodil there. So I think it's going to glue to the packaging. Maybe what I will do is I'm going to use a little bit of tape runner along top. Ooh, got a big dummy there. And then I'll add a bit of glue at the bottom. There we go. And then this little fella, I think kind of right there would be cute. Thanks, Carol. So now we'll just add him right here. So I just put glue at the bottom and tape runner along the top to stick to the plastic. And then I will take my white gel pen, just go back and add my little dots on the cheeks. And I don't think I'm going to add any highlights onto this one today. I'm going to leave them just as is. So there's that. And so then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull over my Misty here. And Kim got in these ATC Originals, is the name of it, stamps for ATCs. And so then there's a border and then it has the printing already on it. but there's also some little stamps like you could put on the back of cards, like handmade by, limited edition, of course I made it, made with love, art from the heart, original work, and made just for you. So to hide our messiness at the back, and because if you are going to trade or send your ATC to someone, you will want to put your information on the back. So we're going to stamp one of these and then put it on the back. And then we will be finished. So I had already pre-cut another piece of white, 2.5 by 3.5. I'm going to center it in the corner there. Maybe just have this down here. Then I'm going to center this. Back there. Oh, awesome, Kim. Thanks. I didn't forewarn you that I was doing this because I actually didn't decide I was going to do the back until literally 15 minutes before I went. And I thought, if I'm doing an ATC, how could I not show this? Because I did not have an ATC stamp for the backs of mine. And then when Kim brought this one out, it was meant to be, because I decided that I didn't have one because I was meant to have this super cute one. I love the doodle look. And then the one thing I like about the doodle look, I'm just going to leave it black, especially because I'm just stamping, so I might want my ink to dry. But then you can color in around the borders of the stamp. So I'm just going to make sure mine is really in the corner, because that way if I might have to stamp twice. But if I know I put it in the corner of my Misty, then I can move it back. Oh, it actually stamped really, really good. I've used the other one, but not this one. But there's just a couple spots, so I will double stamp. You did finish your cards for the new swap. That's awesome. Oh, good. Kim put the link, so if anybody is wondering about the ATC's original, there's now the link to that one. I've already used it a couple times and just love it. So sometimes things are meant to be, I've decided. You're meant to own something at the exact right time. Okay. So this is what I was kind of talking about with the doodle look. Is like once I'm confident that the ink is dry, I probably will go in just give my stamp a quick wash behind me. I will go in probably and use some of the same colors, you know, on these little doodles, which will be a great little addition. And actually, before I glue it on, I'm going to do the same border thing that I did on my banner with the super light blue. Just to keep the continuity. Try to remind myself to go slow, because usually when I'm on the finished stretch and you're doing something like what I'm doing now, you're like, oh, I'm almost done. And then you go extra fast and you like slide off at the last minute and get a swipe across the whole thing. There we go. So then again, it'll photograph much better, I think, once I can post it in the group. But then I think you'll see that slight white border. That's not showing up the best on the camera. Okay, flip that over. Make sure I'm not putting it on upside down. And because of the plastic, you have a little bit of wiggle room to kind of slide it into place. And then just be kind of forewarned, because if you do glue, like, it will wiggle a bit, like, which is good, but sometimes it can be unexpected. So then it slides in a way you don't want. So I cut mine to be the exact size of the back, so then you don't see any of the black on the back, and you don't see any of like where we folded or did our double-sided tape. So then I could write my info on the back of this one. And then here is our adorable shaker. I'm gonna zoom in even a little bit more. Cute. Oh, that glare is always just so awful. So there is our cute shaker. I'll make sure I lift it up, Kim, for the last view here. Amazing, you guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Considering I wasn't entirely sure how it was going to finish up, I'm really, 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 really happy. Really, really happy. So cute. So I will make sure that I post some photos tomorrow in the group. I will upload this to the YouTube channel, the Kraftin Kimmie YouTube channel. If you haven't already, go check that out, like and subscribe. We upload all of our videos onto the YouTube channel so that once they disappear from Facebook, you can go back. There is all the Throwback Thursday lives. There are any other special occasions. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Kim puts like her journaling group once on and all of those fun things. So you can check out past videos as well. So I hope everybody has a very happy Easter, and I hope you had fun playing along with me tonight. I'm kind of excited that I can add this to my Easter decor upstairs. Awesome. Sorry for my shaking there, apparently. I do not have a steady hand. All right, good night, everyone. See you next time.